Okay, so we are just gonna start with a little tiny movement. So I have one leg straight, one leg bent, one leg more in a Baddha Konasana shape. And simple turn towards the straight leg. Just feeling that weight shift into the bent leg as you turn away from it. And then turning towards the bent leg. And letting that straight leg hip stay on the floor, even letting your weight stay back. And then turn to the straight leg. And then turn to the bent leg. Good. And reach the arms forward. I'm just going to switch, right, without my hands. Just switching legs, turning towards the straight leg. Again, feel that weight shift into the bent leg. And then turning towards the bent leg. Keeping that straight leg hip on the floor. And turn. Good, and turn. Good, reaching the arms forward. Again, switching legs. Good. Leaning over, tipping over the straight leg. Good. As you are tipped to that side, let your breath really fill out the opposite side, right? The fuller side. And maybe even the less full side. Good. Turning the breastbone down towards the straight leg, still reaching almost to that straight leg foot. And then turning, looking up under the top arm. And coming up. Now let's tip over the bent leg. You can even let that same hand walk further out. Maybe the forearm comes to the floor. And the straight leg hip stays on the floor. Again, letting the breath find side ribs, back ribs on that more open side, more exposed side, the upper side, and the underside. Turning towards the bent leg. Still reaching through that arm and then turning the breastbone up to the ceiling, looking up under that arm. And then come up to sit. Reach the arms forward, change the legs again. Tipping over the straight leg. And really exploring your breath, side body, back body. Feeling the movement of the ribs, the relationship of the ribs to the waist, to the pelvis. And turning towards the straight leg. Still reaching past that straight leg foot. And then up to the ceiling again. Turn, looking up under that arm. And the other side. Maybe forearm comes to the floor. Top arm up and over. So the straight leg hip stays heavy. That leg is reaching long. Again, just feeling the breath. Feeling the movement of the breath, creating space. Turning towards the bent leg. Still reaching, filling out those back ribs with breath. And then turning, looking up under that top arm. Breath finding front ribs a little more. And then coming up to sit. Good, finding your seated position, crossing legs. Good, eyes open for a moment. Again, just the peripheral vision, that wide scope of vision. Good, maybe turning the head to the left, finding an object, just identifying what it is, the density, shape, color, even thoughts about the object. And turning the head to the right, maybe another object. Even the light of the room. And center, closing the eyes. Still aware of your environment around you, behind you. And aware of your breath. Right, holding that external environment, internal environment, the movement of the breath in the body. And as you exhale, let the exhale press out a little bit more, emptying the body of breath. Inhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pausing at the top of the inhale, but soften around that containment of the full breath. Allowing the body to soften. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, pressing the breath out gently, but completely. Pause. And softening around that empty containment of no breath. Inhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more. Inhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Slight pause. And exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, breath empty. Empty the breath out. Pause. And then let the breath find its own rhythm. Okay, we're going to do a few cycles of breath through the mouth. So just notice the effect on the breath. Notice the effect on your awareness, your body awareness, as opposed to your thought awareness. The cadence of thoughts, cadence of breath, temperature, any other sensations in the body. More movement, less movement, tingly. And then let's do some cycles of movement with the breath. Inhale and exhale through the mouth. Okay, so the inhale will be almost like a wave rolling into the body, and the exhale like a wave rolling out of the body. So it doesn't have to be fast, but let it be a complete breath, a full breath. Eyes open or eyes closed. Inhale, drawing the breath in. Exhale, releasing the breath out. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And like the wave of the ocean, exhale. Inhale, make it audible even. Exhale. Inhale. Be slow and full. Last one. After you exhale, slight pause. Inhale, slowly but fully. Slight pause. And release the breath. Let it find a rhythm. And noticing this breath. Like one breath may be more activating, one might be more soothing, calming. Notice the effect on your body will be different every day. What is the feeling right now? Again, body awareness versus thought, mind awareness. Rhythm of breath. Warm, cool, tingly. Less sensation, more.
Padma, Susie says she's been uninvited by the host.
Palms together in front of your heart. Inhaling for the sound of Om. All right, let's stop down on our backs for a few moments. So on your back, knees bent, feet flat on the floor, arms out to the side.
Padma, sorry.
Just noticing how your body's settling on the floor, feet, arms, back of ribs, back of head, back of pelvis. Okay, so just peeling that right foot off the floor, right knee comes up over the hip. And just notice the change in the shape of the body or where the weight shifted towards. And I'm just going to take that right thigh and I'm going to make a circle with that right knee. Slow circle. So as if drawing a circle on the ceiling. So if you feel any clunking, change the shape of the circle so that you don't feel clunking. So it may be a different kind of shape, more like a continent. And then changing direction. Slow and steady. Notice the breath and the movement. Do they feel relative, relational? And find center. And right foot down, left foot up, left knee over the hip. Again, just noticing the weight shift. Does one side acclimate differently? Does it organize differently? Good, and then circle. So I noticed when I brought my right knee up, there was a lot more, the weight shifted quite a bit more than the left side. Again, slow circle. Noticing the breath, right? Sometimes we move quickly and the breath stops. So can you find the rhythm of the body and the breath? Changing direction. And again, if you need to change the shape, change the shape. Can be small, can be a little bit bigger. And find center. And left foot on the floor, right knee up, right knee up over the hip. This time I'm going to straighten the leg. Maybe point the foot as you straighten, flex the foot while it's straight, and then bend again. And then point to straighten, flex to bend. One more time, point to straighten, flex to bend. And then I'm going to straighten, maybe start with a point, and then make a full circle. So you're moving from a point to a side reach, to a flex, to the other side. Change direction. Good. And then I'm going to let the leg, now straight leg, make a circle. Again, slow, small circle. Again, syncing the movement with the breath. Change direction. Okay, other leg up, left knee up, point to straighten, flex to bend, and point to straighten the leg, and flex to bend, point to straighten, and flex to bend. And again, point to straighten, and then big circle, sweeping the foot around the room, and change direction. Good, and then let the whole leg make a circle, the leg moving around the hip. Again, if there's clinking, clunking, adjust the shape so that you don't feel that clunk. Or make it smaller. Changing direction. Again, syncing the breath with the movement. And come back to center and left foot on the floor. Okay, straightening the left leg. So I'm going to take the right knee to the chest, interlace the fingers around the right shin, and draw that knee towards the breast, right knee towards the breast. And then out to the side, maybe even let that left leg move a little at a diagonal. So as the right leg moves towards, right knee moves towards the right shoulder, the left leg moves out to the left. And then let's take that straight right leg up to the ceiling. And you can do either a point or a flex. Hands may be on the floor a little closer to the leg. And again, a circle. Again, slow enough to sync the breath to the movement. Exploring your range of motion, exploring the shape. And then change direction. Again, exploring the shape, especially if there's a little clunk. And center. I'm just going to lower the straight leg to the floor and then lift again and lower and lift. Take it out to the side, straight leg, and back up to center. Cross to the left. So right hip may come off the floor as you keep reaching over to the left, come back up to center. One more time out to the right. You can adjust your arms out to the side. and center and across to the left. You can let the pelvis turn. You can let the right foot come closer to the floor, closer to the hand. And center, bend both knees, both feet on the floor. Okay, left knee into the chest, straighten that right leg. So your knee can go straight up towards the left breast or out to the side. Good. And then bring the legs more neutral, straighten the left leg, simple circle. Again, exploring the shape and the size. You can start quite small if that feels more interesting. It can be more stabilizing in the hip. And noticing the breath and the movement. And change direction. So feeling, you don't have to over-stabilize the body, but just notice the relationship. Something moving less. And then come to neutral, lower that straight leg, and then lift. And lower, and lift. Let's take it out to the side. And up to center. And across to the right. You can keep that left hip close to the floor, or you can let the pelvis turn. And center, and out to the side. And center, and across to the opposite side. You can even let the head counter roll as that foot comes closer to the floor, closer to the hand. Center, then both knees, both feet on the floor. Good, rolling to your side and come up to set. I'm sorry we lost Susan. Oh. Okay, so on hands and knees. Palms under shoulders, knees under hips. And I'm just gonna play with a few shoulder blade squeezes. Right, I'm just gonna squeeze the shoulder blades together behind the body and then spread the shoulder blades apart. Squeeze shoulder blades in towards the spine, spread the shoulder blades away from the spine. So the spine is somewhat neutral, squeeze and spread. Okay, and then let's take both shoulder blades up towards the ears and down towards the hips and up towards the ears and down towards the hips. And then let's do opposition. So I'm going to take right shoulder blade down towards the hip, left shoulder blade up towards the ear, which is going to put me in a little bit of a side bend. Maybe you can look to the right hip, maybe even let the tailbone swing towards the hip. And then the opposite, left shoulder blade back, right shoulder blade forward, putting me in a little side bend. And then switch. Right shoulder blade down, left shoulder blade up, swing the tail towards the head, and switch, and switch, and switch. Okay, now let's take cat-cow, right? Lifting the ribs up towards the ceiling, letting the head drop, cat shape, let that tailbone tuck down and forward, and then ribs drop. Pubis move back, breastbone move forward and up. And rounding and extension. And rounding and extension. And then coming back to neutral, let's see if we can put them together. So right shoulder blade down towards the hip, left shoulder blade up towards the ear. I'm in my little side bend. And then I'm going to go up into a rounding into a flexion as I then come to the other side, left shoulder blade back towards the hip, right shoulder blade forward. And then extension as I come through neutral. And then over to the other side. Side bend, flexion, side bend to the other side, extension. One more. Can make it more of a fluid flow. And then change direction, right? So go as slow as you need to go to get the pattern, right? Flexion, side bend, extension, side bend to the other side. Flexion, side bend to the other side. And then again, maybe make it a little more fluid. And then come back to center. Okay, so I'm actually going to take hands now, turn them towards the side of the room. So fingers point to the side of the room, just shifting side to side, letting the weight come into the ball of the hand, finger pads, and then turning the fingers now towards the legs. It can be as close to the knees as you want. And I'm just going to shift my weight back and forward and back and forward. And this time as I shift back, I'm going to peel the hand off the floor, starting with the heel of the hand. The ball of the hand is on the floor, as long as you can. And then lifting up the ball of the hand, the length of the fingers, the finger pads. So my buttocks are back on my heels. And then I'm going to lay the hand down, coming in the way that I came out. Slowly shifting the weight, finger pads, length of fingers, webbings of fingers, ball of hand, palm, heel of hand, and shift back. Okay, let's do one where we put one hand, top of the right hand on the floor, just spreading the back of the hand into the floor. You can monitor how much weight your body can take by shifting weight to the other limbs. And then switch, left hand on the floor. And if you can do both, you can try that. You can even peel your fingers off the floor, trying to make a little fist. And then open up the fingers, shift the weight back and forth just a little bit. I don't have much range of motion that way. Good, and then palms on the floor again. Okay, so right leg extending back. So right leg directly behind, toes on the floor. I'm just gonna, oh, that feels good. So I'm just gonna shift my weight back. So I'm really turning the toes under. I feel in the back of the lower leg. And then push forward. So I'm coming towards a point, but I'm stretching the toes back, holding tips and back and forward. And back, maybe even come forward, roll onto the top of the foot, and then roll the heel out to the side, roll over the little toe side of the foot, across the ball of the foot, big toe side of the foot, back to the point, just rolling around the ball of the foot. Then change direction after you. Good, and then pause. Okay, so 3 limbs, right? My hands and my left knee are gonna hold a little more weight as I slide that right leg out to the side of the room and forward to the right hand. Good, pressing into that right foot and then shifting, right? Bending the right knee, shifting that weight out to the right foot and straightening the leg, shifting the weight back to center. Then shifting the weight out to the right foot and back to center. Good, I'm just playing with a little bit of, with the straight leg, a little rounding through the spine, press into the hands, into the limbs and round the back. And then extension, as if you could pull the hands back towards that left knee and reach the breastbone forward. One more time, round and extend. Straight right leg, trace it back around to the back of the room. Up in line with the spine, bend the knee, reaching the sole of the foot towards the ceiling. And then I'm just gonna swing that knee forward, towards the nose. Let the spine round again, lifting the knee up into the body, and then swing it back and up. And knee comes down and in, lift the spine, make room for the knee to come to the nose, and then swing that bent leg back and up. One more, swing the bent knee in and up into the body, and then back and up behind. Extend, toes to the floor, knee down. Other side. All right, left toes back. I know this is a lot on the wrist, so if you need to change the hand position, you can turn the hands out to the side. Good. Then I'm going to, again, shift the weight back. Right, so I'm pulling the heel back, turning that foot under even more, and then shift forward to the toe tip, and shift back, and shift forward, and back. And this time, shift forward, roll over the toes, onto the tops of the toes. So my foot's pointed. I know you can't see because of the cat, but let the heel fall out to the side, rolling over the outer foot. Ouch. Get up there. Onto the ball of the foot, across the ball of the foot, onto the big toe, around the big toe side of the foot, onto the top of the foot. Like just rolling around the ball of the foot and then changing direction. The little top of foot smush. Good, and then coming to neutral. Slowly trace that left leg along the floor, slowly. So the other limbs are holding the weight so I can make it graceful. Left foot by the left hand. Press into that foot. Just feel the engagement in the back of the leg, inner leg. And then bend that left knee, let the weight shift out to the left. Little jousting move. And back. And out to the left. Stretching through the inner thigh and groins. And back. And then rounding the spine and extending. Send those sitting bones back. Breastbone forward. Rounding. Tuck the tailbone forward and drop the head down, lifting the rib. And then as you lengthen out, feeling what happens on the, especially that left sitting bone, inner thigh. Okay, let's take leg back to the back of the mat. Go on. Frisky cat. And let's take the leg up. Let's bend the leg. And I'm going to swing that bent leg forward and up into the body, rounding. And then swing that bent leg back and up behind me. Opening, right? So feel that opening, front of hip, front of thigh. And then as you pull forward, the rounding or the stretching of the back of the spine. As you swing back and up, more length through the front hip, front thigh, lower belly, forward and back and up. Extend the leg, toes down, knees together. Okay, let's come on to forearms. Just for a moment, so drop your forearms to the floor. So elbows, forearms, hands somewhat parallel. Again, I'm just going to shift my weight forward so my face is now over my hands. And then I'm going to shift my weight back, buttocks to the heels. They don't have to come all the way back. And shift forward. And shift back. And shift forward. And shift back. One more time shifting forward. This time I'm going to prepare, turning the toes under, putting a little more weight into the wrists, the palms, the fingers. So as I shift back, plant the forearms, wrists, and palms. Take the knees up. Knees can stay bent, but I'm going to lift the back of the pelvis to the ceiling. Good. Knees down, shift forward. Shift back, lift the knees up, lift the pelvis up. Legs can straighten if they're ready. And down and shift forward again. And shift back and up. Good, lifting the heels high up, lifting the hips high up, wrists heavy. Good, lower the heels back and down. Lift the heels up and down. Heels up and down. Good, knees to the floor. Let's lift the elbows up and come up and back into downward facing dog. Good, same thing here. Let's lift the heels, lifting the back of the pelvis up, lower the heels. And as you lower the heels, keep lifting the back of the pelvis up and back. Lift and lower the heels, lift the heels, lower the heels. Okay, feet a little closer to each other. I'm just gonna take that right leg back, back and up. I'm gonna bend that leg and I'm gonna turn the pelvis. So right leg up, I'm gonna turn the pelvis to the right, looking under that right arm. And then I'm gonna let that right leg swing forward and up. Right knee towards the right elbow, right foot towards the left hand, maybe just a gesture. And then swing that bent leg back and up, turning the pelvis to the right. And again, swing that leg forward, right knee towards the elbow, right foot towards the left wrist. And back and up. Last time, swing forward. And swing back. I lied, let's do two more. Swing forward and swing back. Swing forward, right foot towards the left wrist. Swing back, let the foot drop back towards the left butt. Good, right foot down. Let's bring the knees down. So shifting, so I'm just gonna walk my hands forward, walk my knees back a little bit, shift my buttocks back, but my buttocks aren't on my heels, my hips are more up. Almost over the knees. And walking the hands forward, walking the hips back, just feeling that sense of length through front body, side body, back body. Turning the head, look under that right arm. Left hand is still heavy on the floor. And then switch, turn and look under that left arm. And center. And let's shift forward. And we're gonna do the other side. Okay, so hips up and back, downward facing dog. So now left leg swings back and up. And again, I'm gonna let the knee bend, turn and look to the left. I'm letting that left knee lift up as the left foot drops towards the butt. And then left knee starts to swing forward, the left knee towards the left elbow, left foot towards the right wrist. And then swing that leg back and up. And swing forward. Get a little bit more action through the foot and the knee. Knee swings, foot follows. Knee swings, foot follows. And forward. And back. And forward. And back. I think it's the last one. Forward. And back. Good. Straighten the leg, bring the legs together. Downward facing dog. 2 more breaths here. Good, and then walking the feet to the hands to the feet. Go ahead and bend both knees. Let the pelvis and spine fold over the legs. And then straighten the legs quietly so you can allow the pelvis to continue that fold. And bend. and straighten. Good, and bend. And straighten. Good, bend the knees. I'm gonna round all the way up to stand. Yay. Okay. All right, I'm just gonna move my sticky mat just because it's easier for me to move out because I have a wood floor, so it depends on your floor. Okay, so just a simple. So I'm gonna use my right foot. You can mirror me or use your right foot. I'm just gonna step. So I'm just gonna step forward, little weight shift forward, weight shift back. Step right, step in. Step back, step in. Step up and down. So I'm gonna add one more thing. So step forward and in, step out to the side and in. This time as I step back, I'm gonna turn. Right, so it's a little bit more of a rotation in the pelvis and legs as I turn and look back and forward and then step up and down. Other leg, forward and back, out and back. Turn to step back and center and up and down. Okay, forward, first leg and back, out to the side and in. Turn to step back, right? Turn your whole body except for the front leg and come back and step up. It's gonna take the arms up. Let's even look up and down, step forward and back and out to the side and back and turn to the back of the room and step in and knee up, arms up, look up and down. Again, first side, forward and back, out to the side and back. Turn, look to the back of the room, step forward, knee up, look up. Other side, forward and back, out to the side and back. Turn, look to the back of the room, step back, knee up, look up. Okay, so now just warming up the feet a little bit. You can even lift. All right, let's play with bending the knees, straightening, lift the heels, lower, bend, straighten, lift, lower, and then start to play with bending, straightening and lifting, whoops, bending and dropping the heels, straightening and lifting. I can't do it, look at the camera. Bend and drop the heels, straighten and lift, bend and drop, straighten and lift, bend and drop. One last time, lift and straighten, bend and drop. Okay, so right leg, just tracing the floor, right? We've done this before, but I'm gonna bend the standing leg. Right leg is just barely tracing, forward and across to the left, out to the side and back, reaching back. Let the body oppose the movement of the leg for balance, and then come back, swing around, across to the left. Maybe tip to the right, swing out and back, reach back. Leg can even come off the floor. One more time, trace forward, out to the side, out to the right, across to the left, out to the right, and back and across to the left. And slowly center and up. Other side. Again, standing leg bends, let the foot spread and widen. Left toes out to the side. Again, using your arms as a counterbalance. Left leg traces around it, front to the right. Whoops. And then out to the left and back. And out to the left and forward. Out to the left and back. You can let the eyes move. It's a little more challenging than keeping the eyes fixed. Play with it. Play with reaching further. Slowing down, speeding up. And then find center and lift. Okay. All right, let's do one more. Just gonna move off to the side. Just gonna play with, we did this last time, but just gonna play with taking that leg out to the side and a little lift. So standing leg can bend, arms can move in opposition to the weight of the leg, and then step. Step onto the standing leg, opposite leg, lifts. Shift your weight to the other leg. Reach and lift. Switch, reach, and lift. Right? Your toes can just barely graze the floor or lift a little higher or keep lifting. Maybe tip with the torso and shift onto the other leg and touch, maybe lift, maybe tip and center. So if you have a little room, let's play with tipping towards Ardha Chandrasana. Again, coming in slowly. The leg can be, standing leg can be bent or straight. And step to the other side. And extending. So standing leg can be bent. Both knees can be bent. You can keep the shape closer to the center line, or you can play with extending, expanding. And down. First side again. Go slowly. If you fall, doesn't matter. Just going side to side. And listening to the body. One more time each side. Feel the feet, the breath, the focus, the body, the balance. Notice where your gaze is. Good, and center when you're ready. Good, arms forward and up, look up. Good, so as you look up, letting the breastbone lift. So maybe the front lower ribs can stay somewhat quiet, right? So it's not a full back bend, but let the breastbone lift a little bit. And then let the breastbone drop a little bit. And lift a little bit. And drop a little bit. So the movement is happening mostly in the upper spine. Lift and drop the front ribs. Lift the back ribs. And lift the front ribs. And then lift the back ribs. And then maybe a circle. So coming from the forward, little side bend, just in those upper ribs. To the right, to the back, and extension, side bend left, flexion. One more time, a little side bend to the right, little back bend, side bend left, forward, change direction. Smooth circle. If you can, the arms can go further out to the side or up or wide into Y shape. And then center. And then float the arms down. Good, standing at the back of your space, chin to chest, rounding. Let the breastbone and spine move back, rounding the upper back, middle back, lower back. Knees can be soft or straight. Rounding all the way down. Let's walk back to downward facing dog. Good, plank pose. Downward facing dog. Keep that the longer stance between the hands and the feet. This time, plank pose. Good, letting the sitting bones continue to drop into the backs of the thighs, moving more towards an upward dog with the toes under. Sitting bones down, tailbone down, breastbone up. Downward facing dog. Again, plank pose. You can stay in plank pose, or again, you can move tailbone down towards the pubis, pubis up towards the breastbone. Spinal extension, upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Last time. Plank pose or upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Pause and breathe. Good, knees to the floor. Chest to the floor. Just lay on the floor for a moment, belly on the floor. And even take the arms wide, a little bit of a Y shape. Separate the feet a little, so you're in a little, maybe an X shape. Just feeling your body, right? The front body tends to be a little more sensitive than the back body. Having your belly, you can turn your head to the side. Feeling the movement of the belly against the floor. And just the sense of not just the floor, but the ground, the earth. Okay. Let's gently roll onto your back. Just going to put my sticky mat there. Okay, so just make sure you have a little room overhead. Maybe you can stretch the arms overhead. And we're going to play with a simple roll. Knees can be bent. Just rolling. Nice round spine. Knees bent, arms bent. Spine round. Rolling up to sit, rolling back. And then starting to roll higher up on the spine, bringing the legs overhead. Maybe extend the legs out in front of you. And you can keep the knees soft, or you can start to let the legs straighten, moving from halasana to paschimottanasana. Rolling along the spine. Again, make it doable for your body. Last two. Again, nice and easy. Okay. And then let's grab our 2 blocks. Okay, and I'm going to use these blocks on the lowest height and the widest width. So the width goes kind of in line with the body. So 2 blocks handy. And so we're going to shoot for having 2 blocks under the pelvis. If that feels very intimidating, you can have 1 block under the pelvis or on the lowest height, or 1 block under the pelvis on the middle height. Okay, so walk the feet close to the pelvis, lift the heels off the floor. Feel that, how it moves the pelvis into an anterior tilt, and then roll into a posterior tilt. And so you're letting the lower back come into the floor. Sitting bones and tailbones start to curl up into the backs of the legs. press into the feet and roll the hips up. I'm just going to slide one block under the pelvis, pause. And you can drop the heels for a moment. You can even lift the ribs and walk them away from the block, keeping the pelvis heavy on the block. And then again, we're going to either turn this first block up on its side or we're going to add the second block. So again, walk the feet close to the block. The heels are off the floor. From that anterior tilt, roll into your posterior tilt. Scoop the hips up. And slide that second block on top of the first block. Good. Walk the feet out, heels to the floor. If you need to, lift the ribs up and walk them away from the blocks, and that might actually tip the foot side of your block off the floor a little bit to tip the pelvis to the ribs. And listening to what your body needs. Just pausing here with the hips much higher than the heart higher than the head, brain. Okay, arms on the floor alongside the body, the blocks. I'm going to take one knee up, right knee up over the hip, other knee up over the hip. Pausing here. Then you can keep your feet on the floor. You can also keep your knees bent. And sometimes straightening the leg, the body starts to work in a weird way, especially if the hamstrings are tight. And then I'll play with bringing the feet up as high as the knees or a little higher. Looking for that more of an alignment and symmetry and balance than strength. It's all relative to your body. And then maybe straighten the legs if that feels good. Good. Let's take the legs wide. So they're still over the pelvis, but I'm going to take the legs wide into a straddle. I should move my blocks. There we go. Good. Just pause and breathe. And then bringing the legs back to each other. Good. I'm going to take now one leg. So one leg is going to stay where it is, hovering over the hip. Again, arms alongside the body or on the block if you like. I'm going to let one leg come towards the face, and it's not going to come far. Good. And then back to meet the other leg. And then switch. One leg is going to come towards the face and not far, because otherwise the back starts to round. We move more into flexion as the leg comes closer. And that might destabilize us a little bit. And then bring that leg back to meet the other leg. Okay, now one leg is going to move back, away from the face. And again, that might put us more into an anterior tilt. So listen, maybe use the opposite leg as a counter balance. Good. And then that leg comes back to meet the upright leg. And switch, one leg moves away from the face. Again, maybe playing more with getting the leg through the front of the thigh and the front of the hip than arching the lower back. Good. And then that leg comes back up. Okay, one more time. Let's do this front split. So one leg moves back, the other leg moves forward as a counterbalance. Good, and then I'm gonna let the leg that moved back move across. So my left leg is back. I'm gonna let the left leg move across to the right and the right leg move across to the left. So there's just a little bit of a side bend, like lengthening through one side, shortening through the other side. Good, and then come back to more of a neutral split, and then the back leg comes up. Good, other side. Take that leg further back. Right, so now my right leg is back. My right leg is gonna just shift to the left, letting that left leg shift to the right. It's not a big rotation, but it's just enough to lengthen a little more through the side body on the longer side. And again, more of a neutral front split, and then the back leg up. And then just pause. Notice if it's just a little easier to hover here with straight legs. You can always bend them. See if you can let the face and the throat, the upper back get quiet. The jaw, the mouth, the arms, the legs. Again, really relying on the symmetry and the balance of the body. Good. And then bending knees. And then very slowly, you can lower one leg at a time or float both feet back to the floor. Yeah, just noticing, listening, feeling. Notice the sensation in the body, notice the breath. Good, walk the feet a little closer to the blocks. Or block, lift the heels. Again, find that posterior tilt to lift the hips up. If you're on two blocks, take one block out. If you're on one block that's turned up, turn it down. Lower the hips back down. Plant the feet on the floor. Just pause for a breath or two. Good, and then repeat, right? Walk the heels in, lift the heels, posterior tilt to scoop up, right? Use that posterior tilt to really lengthen and widen your back body. And then lay that down, lay that wide, long spine down. Letting the legs support you so you can lay that heavy torso on the floor, one section at a time. Good. Pelvis down, feet down. Good, arms out to the side. Good, super slow, knee drops to the right. Both knees drop. Again, maybe the hip counter rolls to the opposite side. Slowly rolling across. Back of the right hip onto the back of the pelvis. Left hip heavy. And then knees drop to the other side. Head rolling in the opposite direction. And then slowly, slowly back through center. And one more time to the right. Pressing into the feet. Letting the pelvis and ribs turn a little bit more to the right as the hip counter turns to the left. Roll center. And other side. Good. And center. Feet can stay wide. Let the knees drop together. You can let the hands come onto the belly or close to the body. And then when you're ready, let's straighten the legs. You can tuck the blocks under the thighs if you'd like, or you can just lay flat on the floor. And now feeling the back of the body fully against the floor. Feeling that support. So sometimes when I'm belly down, I feel more of like I'm hugging the earth or I'm falling into the earth. And when I have my back on the floor, it just feels different. Sometimes a little harder to feel myself melt back, sink back. Just a different relationship to the world. Back body's more protected or protective. Front body is more vulnerable. It's where we hug people, where we hold people. Just a different engagement. So allowing your, whatever sensation you're feeling, whatever you're feeling, to soften. Really feeling the back of the neck soften, the back of the head, the back of the ribs. There's much more bony mass in the back body, back of pelvis, back of head, spinal column. Just letting the structures that can soften, soften. Relationships between the bones or the tissue over the bones. Softening the eyes and the face and the tongue and the mouth. And as your back body softens, notice your front body. And that space of vulnerability and connection. Just feeling that interesting balance of a stronger back body and a softer front body. Feeling the support and the synthesis of those two qualities. Notice your breath shifting. Wiggling fingers and toes very slowly. Again, aware of the sensation. So it's more of a curiosity than just a movement. Movement to something else. Bending knees, bending elbows, gently rolling to your side. Keep rolling to bring yourself up to sit. Feeling for your breath, listening for your breath. Again, the sensation, the quality, the volume, the rhythm of the breath. We'll do one sound with this first breath, ha, H-A, ha. Inhaling. Second breath, we'll do two sounds, ha, H-A, and vu, V-U. Now, be a little shorter than the first sound, just to make room. Inhaling. Vu. Notice the change in your body, the sensation. Third breath, we'll do ha, vu, ha. Inhaling. Vu, ha. Fourth breath, we'll do ha, vu, ha, vu. Again, each one will be a little shorter to make room. Inhaling. Ha, vu, ha, vu. Good. Last breath, we'll do ha, vu, ha, vu, ha. Each one a little shorter. Inhale. Ha, vu, ha, vu, ha. And palms together in front of your heart. And let's just end with one om. Even noticing where the sound came from, different spaces in your body, in your mouth, in your breath. Feeling the reverberation through your body, the sensation, the quality. Namaste.